to get things moving. So we usually wait just a couple of minutes before we get started. So on behalf of Bettina and myself, just like to, and the team of Hazel and Catherine, welcome back and welcome to those of you joining us for the first time. Really great to see you, great to have you. Delighted to have another a webinar in the series. I think this is number 11, is that right?
Actually, number 15.
Number 15, you see.
Yeah.
We're even further ahead than I thought, but these are so good. Just delighted that you're all here. We've got a very interesting topic today, looking at kind of where faith and science meet and how we can combine those powerful forces together. So I'm going to hand over to Dr. Bettina Huppner now, who's going to take us through the rest of the preface and then introduce our speaker. So thanks, Bettina.
Great, thank you, John. And I just wanted to, I'm going to keep it brief. We have a wonderful lineup with discussion. So just to highlight, this is our steering committee with whom we discuss all of our topics in the seminar series and where to go next. And also always feel free to just drop us an email, Catherine and Hazel, if you want to drop our email into the chat. If you have a topic that you really would like to discuss in this forum, where we bring together multiple stakeholders, scientists, clinicians, RCC leaders, RCC members, healthcare decision makers, everybody, if there's particular topics you think we should tackle, send us a note. We always want to hear from you. And then this team is discussing it with us and putting the agenda together. And of course, the first mission we always have, Hazel, if you can go to the next slide, is that we always want to feature our RCCs. Every recovery community center is different. And this way, we always start by giving you a view of what happens when you walk through the door of one of the RCCs that we are talking about. And Devin, can you go ahead and give us your feature of what it looks like for you?
Sure. Hello, everyone. My name is Devin Lyle. I am the Executive Director of Wilkes Recovery Revolution. We're a recovery community organization based out of Wilkes County, North Carolina, very rural community in the mountains of North Carolina. So what it looks like when you walk through the door of our R3 Recovery Center. So our center offers a variety of services, and I will tell you a little bit about what that looks like. So we offer harm reduction services out of our recovery center. We offer peer support services. We offer groups, activities, wellness. We have yoga on Saturdays, just a variety of things. Our core principles are based in SAMHSA's 8 dimensions of wellness, which include your intellectual, spiritual, environmental, emotional, financial, occupational, and physical. So those are what we base all of our programs and services out of. When you walk through the door, you're greeted by someone with lived experience who allows you to go through kind of just collecting basic information through our kiosk, and then they funnel you to one of our peer supports or our harm reduction services or our employment services. So we offer a variety of things on a daily basis. If you come through the center door, you could basically just need supplies and need to meet with a care coordinator in our harm reduction program, or you may sit down with a peer support specialist who could help you with employment. We pay for certification classes, linking people with jobs. We provide transportation. They may need to get into treatment or detox. We assist with that through partnerships with local resources. And so it's a wide variety of things that people are here for. Another use of our center is our peer living room and our space that we keep food, microwave, and facilities for individuals to be able to just be in a safe space and have a library of recovery community resources and a place to be during the day. It serves a lot of our homeless population in Wilkes and allows them a place to be where they are safe and can get access to peer support services and utilize our center. I don't want to take a whole lot of time, but that is a huge overview. We have a variety of programs outside of our RCC. We have transitional housing. We have a farm program, which is a therapeutic gardening program. We have the Project How employment assistance. And so there's there's a lot of wraparound services that go with that RCC, but that's the basis of our recovery community center. So it's pretty much you come through, we meet you where you're at, and whatever you need, we do our best to assist with. Thank you.
Awesome. Wonderful, Devin. And you just gave us the perfect plug for wellness. So Catherine, Hazel, if you can put the registration link into our chat, because next month when we all meet again, we're going to take a look at wellness and self-care in this space. So thank you for plugging that for us too and setting us up perfectly, Devin. All right. So our topic today, as you all know, is let's talk about faith. How does it intersect with recovery community centers? And this topic comes from a conversation we had with Jen, who's with us here. Thank you, Jen. And she was one of our presenters, as you might recall. And every Tuesday before our seminars, the presenters all get together and we talk about the Friday seminar, but also other things that are on our minds as we're thinking about having the opportunity like we do now to speak with a multi-stakeholder group who are all interested in advancing the science on recovery community centers. And Jan said, we really need to talk about the clergy and faith-based communities and how they intersect and how they collaborate and what the issues involved are. So that's what we're doing today. And Jen, you can let us know afterwards how well we're doing on that. Next slide, please, Hazel. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do our typical poll, and we're going to ask you also about your spirituality and religiosity. So if you want to, those are the last two questions, and we'll display those answers after we are done.
Just a note about the poll, there's quite a few questions, so you have to scroll through them and answer them all to submit your results if you're having trouble with that.
Yeah, there's a little gray tab that you kind of have to drag down as you're going from question to question. All right, and then when you get to the end, there should be a blue button on the bottom that says submit. And once you click that, then Hazel knows that yours is in and she can let us know how well we are doing.
And we have about 60% have completed the poll so far, so I'll give it another minute or two and then we'll wrap up.
Perfect. And this time, at least, we made the items less wordy. Sometimes we are a little bit wordy, but this time we try to keep it simple.
Okay, so in about 20 seconds, I'll end the poll. So if you're still working on it, submit your results now, and then we can share them.
Great.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to end the poll and then share the results. And everyone has to scroll through the results themselves, but it should be on your screen now.
Perfect, thank you. So for the item on what would you best describe yourself as, spiritual, religious, both, or neither, we had the highest frequency was for 55% of us in the room today describes themselves as spiritual, only 4 as religious, and then for both spiritual and religious, we have 28%. So that's what it's looking like in our Zoom room today. And when we talk specifically about how important do you think spirituality is in recovery, 59% said very important, and another 25% say important. So clearly this is a topic that is of importance and resonates. There's also a lot of complexity to it. So if you go to the next slide, Hazel. To start us out and kind of grappling with it and gaining some insight, we have invited our own predoctoral fellow, Ms. Akosua Dankwah. She is completing her Doctor of Public Health at the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. And even though she's defending her dissertation next week, she's still here today with us to give us some insights that she's gained from her doctoral project on the intersection of what the clergy think and where they're at and what that means in terms of recovery community centers. So Akosua, if you could go ahead, it's such a pleasure to have you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Bettina, and thank you all for joining this platform. So I'm very happy to share some of my findings from my doctoral thesis project, which I love very much. And I will be talking today about the intersection of church clergy and recovery community centers in tackling the opioid use disorder crisis. Next slide. And I'm grateful to the Recovery Research Institute, the Cobre Center for Opioids and Overdose in Rhode Island, and the Harvard FXB Center for Health and Human Rights for their support. And so to provide some context, the Black American Church has access to a significant number of Black Americans. And based on a US religious landscape survey, more than 85% of Black Americans reported a religious affiliation. And about 80% reported formal church attendance. And so you can imagine that the church is very critical in the Black American community, and it has served as a venue for several public health interventions. So the church has been shown to have a very active presence in the implementation of public health interventions, as you know, including HIV prevention and education, cancer screenings, nutritional health promotion, flu immunizations, and now the famous COVID-19 vaccinations. And churches have hosted traditional substance use recovery groups as well, including the, next slide, the Alcoholics and Narcotics Anonymous, and Christian-based recovery groups, including Celebrate Recovery and Adult and Teen Challenge. So for my dissertation, my larger question was really about the attitudes of Black American church leaders toward harm reduction and policy implications for intervention models in Rhode Island, where I currently live. And I analyzed 30 Black American clergy interviews, including 11 females and 19 males. And most of them actually had at least a master's level education, and 7 had doctorate level degrees. They included government officials, there were chemists, there were physicians, legal practitioners, there were nurse practitioners, there were those who had doctorates in education, in divinity, in leadership, and a whole lot. And many of our clergy had lived experiences with the opioid crisis. Some had close family members who had died of the opioid overdose epidemic, and several were in recovery from the opioid use disorder. And so after doing all of the analysis, the following major themes emerged from it. And the first one is that clergy have empathy and knowledge. And Hazel, you can hit the yes. So clergy have empathy and knowledge. The second, clergy believe that hopelessness and inequity are opioid use disorder risk factors. I also found that clergy are committed to helping people flourish beyond just staying alive. And then clergy welcome collaboration with state agencies. And so what I've done with this presentation is I've tried to hone in on the things that are of interest and resonate with recovery community centers. So first, I'm going to go through areas of promise for church collaborations with recovery community centers. So I found out that clergy members want to be part of the solution. And this quote exemplifies that. One of the clergy said that clergy and lay leaders are not in competition with professional healthcare providers. Our work is complementary to the work of professional healthcare providers. Fighting opioid addiction requires an intentional, integrated effort by both spiritual and secular community leaders. And so my hope is that we can begin to disengage from the notion of separation of church and state. Next slide. So next, clergy members see the importance of communities. And in this quote, a clergy member stated, because we are not talking about people who are out there, we're talking about our sons and daughters. We're talking about fathers and mothers. We're talking about our cousins. We're talking about sister so-and-so who lives a couple of doors down. And you realize that this quote also captures one of my themes that I mentioned earlier, that clergy are empathetic about the opioid crisis. Next slide, please. And just like the recovery community centers do, the church actively assists people with food, with housing, education, and social determinants of health. And we see this from this quote here. It says, we got programs, but really focusing on the individual and their particular needs for food, clothing, shelter, emotional, physical, educational, all those things. And so Adadov by Project Thebes is highlighted here. That is, clergy are committed to helping people flourish beyond just staying alive. Next slide, please. And then clergy members are well equipped to provide guidance on hope and purpose. And in this quote, the theme of hopelessness is addressed. The quote says, the church tells you that this is not the end of your life. The church helps you to know that mistakes are not a downfall. A mistake is the beginning of a new life. It's time to change a new page. Next slide. Now I'm going to share some areas of some concern requiring more discussion. So in my interviews, several clergy expressed concerns about the side effects of medication-assisted treatment, and they were not fully trusting of the medical community in this particular regard. One clergy member shares his concern in this quote. He said, so my concern is sometimes these manufacturers don't tell you about its side effects, which can eventually lead to more devastating state of the individual. Some of the drugs can even lead to cancer. It can lead to organ damage. You never know. Next slide. And then my interview findings showed that most of our church leaders are not in favor of harm reduction methods that enable introduction of the drug into the body, such as the sterile needle exchange programs, and then using fentanyl test strips, before ingesting the drug. However, the clergy that I interviewed, in fact, all of them were in favor of counseling in particular, and then naloxone to reverse opioid overdose, and medication to get them started on their journey to recovery. So for instance, in this quote, a clergy member was conflicted in the use of fentanyl test strips. And I remember that when I was interviewing her and she was sharing this particular quote, she was referring to her granddaughter, and she was almost to the point of tears when she shared this quote. And she said, and so would you encourage your child to use the test strip first? Or are you trying to bring them to Christ like we're supposed to do? We're supposed to bring people to do what is godly. We can't do that while inventing new ways of how to cheat. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, we find out that clergy could be strong partners with the medical and public health community in addressing recovery if we address their concerns. And then number two, more formal research and evaluation is needed to follow up on these, qualitative research findings through the study that I did. And then my favorite slide. So I would like to share briefly about my public health leadership journey and how I got here. So I began my program at Harvard with a background of leading a free health clinic, WTL Health Clinic, or the Way, the Truth, and the Life clinic. So this free clinic blossomed from a health ministry that I spearheaded at my church, the Empowerment Temple of the International Central Gospel Church in Rhode Island, where I live. And then this free clinic now serves the Pawtucket and Central Falls community in Rhode Island. Matter of fact, I'm just arriving from there. It's a labor of love. So this clinic shows that the church and health agencies can collaborate. And by serendipity, I expanded upon my public health leadership impact when I contributed to the Rhode Island Executive Office of Health and Human Services and their health system transformation project during my summer internship experience, you know. And then by another serendipitous move, which for me, I attribute to my Christian faith, I got to work on my doctoral project, interviewing 30 church leaders in Rhode Island. And then I found out that I've grown from collaborating between a church, that is my church, and the community, to now collaborating between several churches in the Rhode Island community. And in my journey, there have been highs and lows. And what has made me successful is my grounding in my Christian faith and practices of continuous prayer and meditation upon the scriptures in the Bible. And with that, I just want to leave you with one of the many scripture verses that the esteemed clergy that I interviewed shared with me. And this scripture has helped me forge ahead in challenging times. The scripture says, "Finally, friends, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there's any excellence, if there's anything worthy of praise, think about these things." Amen. Then the final slide. I'd like to thank John and Bettina and the dynamic crew on this platform for being part of my journey. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Akosua. And I just wanted to respond to Colleen in chat. He had asked a question about, so what does that then look like for LGBTQ communities? What about folks who don't share the faith that is, you know, a particular religious group? And that is absolutely a topic that we asked ourselves too. So we then turned to our RCC directors to find out, well, what does it look like in the actual work that you do? How do you bring in faith-based communities and talk about spirituality? So Hazel, if you could go to the next one of my slides. Here we go. So we have mentioned a couple of times to you all that we're doing a nationwide survey, and we asked, you know, who do you connect with in your work? You're all community-based, you connect with various groups there. And of course, we see here that there's a lot of connection with SUD clinics and sober homes and medication providing clinics and so forth. So the dark green bar here is the percentage of RCCs who have linkages to them. So 82% have a linkage to SUD clinics. 80% of RCCs have connections to sober homes. We also see quite a lot of connection to religious centers and faith-based organizations. A little bit less, but still 65% of RCCs do work with faith-based organizations in one way or another. The light green bars is the percentages of RCCs who said that they either want to create new connections or they want to expand the connections that they currently have. And here for religious and faith-based organizations, 19% of RCCs commented that they would like to expand this. So it's an important partner in your communities, and we wanted other folks who are thinking about how RCCs operate to gain insight into what that looks like. So we invited some RCC directors, if we can go to the next slide, and we asked different questions. First, we're going to have Lynn talk with us about part one, and I'll get to part two in a little bit. But for her, we noticed that she had actually not checked that she's working with faith-based organizations with her RCC, and she had also not checked any desire about wanting to do so. But at the same time, she also mentioned that spiritual health was very important at her RCC. So we asked her to tell us how does that work? What does it look like in her RCC? Lynn, if you could go ahead.
Sorry. Hello, everyone. It's
good to have you, Lynn.
To be here. Thank you for having me. I'd like to talk about how the Northampton Recovery Center addresses spirituality. Next slide, please, Hazel. So from the very beginning, our members created our mission statement, and part of that mission statement was that NRC provides a creative place for people to heal and grow in mind, body, and spirit. So from the very beginning, it was our plan, it was our intention to be as holistic a center as possible. For every all recovery meeting we had or community meeting we had, we also had a meeting that included mindfulness meditation or refuge recovery, yoga nidra, something that was spiritually oriented. Next slide, please. We did have a hospital chaplain come to us who she's been part of the Northampton Recovery Center for a few years, and her specialty in her chaplaincy was consequences of substance use. And so she wanted to offer a space for our members to just explore spirituality, explore their inner world. And in fact, the group that wanted to participate in the first place called it Inner Space. But then there was a lot of confusion and people thought they might come and see visions of rocket ships and inner planets and things like that. So they changed the name to Spirit in Recovery. And they meet weekly and they talk about all the various world traditions that include contemplation and prayer, song, meditation, use of mantra, and all kinds of things that many traditions around the world use. So it's not affiliated with anything in particular. And it seems to be very helpful for people who really don't have any idea, but they know they need something. So that's been very useful for us. Next slide, please. So I just want to talk for a second about what do we mean by spirituality. And at the root of it, the word spirit means breath. And so when we breathe, the word spirit is in respiration. And when we're inspired, the word spirit is there. When we die, the word spirit is there. So we cannot be alive without spirit. It lives within us all, whatever it is. The fact that we are all important, all sacred, falls right in with our belief that we all deserve love, respect, kindness, and a voice, or we wouldn't be a peer recovery support center in the first place. Next slide, please. We do have an affiliation, very indirect, with something called Cathedral in the Night, which is an outdoor Christian community which seeks to create a safe place for all people, homeless, housed, churchless, churched, student, and resident, to explore, question, and live out their spiritual beliefs. They gather for a meal once a week and empower one another to engage in issues of social justice by working to fight the causes of inequality and homelessness. And in my mind, I never considered this a church. Their pastor came to our space and taught yoga, and she brought her assistant's dog, and we serve a lot of the same population, homeless, and other members of ours go there. So when I checked off no affiliation, it didn't occur to me that this could possibly be an affiliation. We just never thought of it that way. And we don't really connect officially to this church, this outdoor church. but they are important to us, and we sit on a lot of the same committees in the city of Northampton to try and make things better for everyone. And we definitely love Tessie, and she is trained to go to the person who's most anxious in the room. And so we appreciate when Tessie comes in. She's very comforting. And that's all I have to say. So thank you for having me.
Thank you, Lynn. And we did have a very direct question for you from Lorraine Barton. She wants to know if your members created that definition of spirituality that you shared with us.
No, we didn't create that definition, but we looked up that definition of spirituality and chose that particular one. There's many definitions, but that one is kind of very, I don't know, what would you say, language oriented, very, very specific because of the word.
Great, thank you. All right, Hazel, if you could just get the slide up for one moment for us again. Hang on, I saw it for a second. Here we go. So that was part one. So what we're going to do next, we're going to stop slide sharing in a moment, but after we see our speakers. We now wanted to ask RCC directors who said that they did have connections. We wanted to ask, in what ways do you work with a clergy or other faith-based community members at your recovery community center? And then the second follow-up question that I'll be asking them is, does the involvement of faith-based organizations ever create barriers for some of your members who do not share that faith or who do not feel welcomed by the faith? Hazel, if we can go to the next slide. So I'll be speaking with Michael Earielo and Tarusa Stewart, and we'll be going slideless. And Michael, I'm going to ask the first question of you.
All right.
All right, so you can stop sharing the slides and maybe spotlight Michael and Tarusa for us, Hazel. So Michael, what does it look like? How does your RCC connect with and work with faith-based communities in your area?
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. First off, I'm the program director of Everyday Miracles, and we are located in Worcester, Mass. And our name says it all, right? Everyday Miracles. So the members picked that name. As some of you might know or might not know, our centers are participatory process, meaning the members generate and brainstorm and implement anything they want to see happening in their centers, right? The staff doesn't dictate, nothing that happens in here. It's all peer driven. So we collaborate with many faith-based organizations. One in particular is Net of Compassion. Net of Compassion is run by Pastor Richie. Pastor Richie is a person with lived experience in recovery himself. He does every Saturday, he feeds the homeless, over 300 people on Saturdays. We volunteer time and effort, go up there and give him a hand, because that's a big operation that needs all hands on deck at all times. So we provide whatever we can do for him. Also another organization is Father Madden at St. John's Church in Worcester. And what they do is they provide breakfast and lunch and pass out a food pantry for the homeless community. So we also volunteer our time down there as well. And also at that time, we try to educate individuals about substance use disorder, because they don't know what they don't know. And I heard previous about Matt, a lot of clergy was not really on the idea about medicated assisted treatment. And we had an incident where a couple of our members was attending a church, and they were telling the message that they were getting from this pastor was that they don't need to be on medicated assisted treatment. They can have Jesus in their life, and that's all they need. And that's good and dandy, but you know, some folks do need Matt. So we took it upon ourselves just to go up and have a talk with that clergyman and let him know about medicated assisted treatment. Maybe he doesn't realize how successful Matt is and how much needed it is and how much good it does in our community. So we just went up there and had a friendly conversation talking about Matt, and we showed him some data on how successful it is, and he really didn't realize it was that successful. What he got is what he heard from other individuals. So he wasn't really educated on medicated assisted treatment. And today that message has changed in his preaching. So we're very happy about that. We also try to work with LGBTQ friendly churches and stuff like that, because we have a community of individuals that fit that criteria. And we just want to make sure that when they're attending these churches that they ain't being singled out or told that they're not loved, or, because, we're all loved. We're all, we all fall under, the same umbrella, no matter what church you go to or denomination you go to, we're all the same. So that's some of the ways. And we also go to churches and provide NARCAN training, because we found that through the overdose awareness, a lot of parents that are attending churches in our area is the ones that are losing their children. So we just try to have another tool handy for them in case something, God forbid, that they experience and they're not equipped. So we just want to make sure that they're trained in NARCAN and let them know how important it is to have NARCAN at all times. No matter if you say, not my child, that will never happen in my household. You just never know. So we just preach that as well.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. And if you get a moment to look at the comments, people love that you went ahead and had that conversation. You noticed it and you went there and had that conversation, and apparently it went really well, which is exciting to hear. Tarusa, what does it look like in your RCC? How do you connect with the faith-based and religious organizations in your area?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak on this platform. I'm Tarusa Stewart, and I am the founder and executive director of I Hope Incorporated in Warner Robins, Georgia, serving the Middle Georgia area. I Hope is an acronym that was also came out of a participatory process that stands for Intentional Holistic Opportunities to Promote Empowerment. And, even from the beginning stages, we was affiliated with the clergy. When I was in the formation of our center, we were looking for a space, and it was 2 churches that provided a space for a year that was absolutely at no cost for us to be able to do a symposium. One allowed me to have a recovery symposium at their place where we were able to invite the community in, absolutely no charge. Out of that, I was able to use that facility for 1 year on our first Friday of every month. Second Baptist Church in Warner Robins, Georgia. And also Loving Kindness Ministry that was in another county in Fort Valley, Georgia, also allowed me to come in. They were feeding the community the same. They were feeding the community breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And what they allowed us to do was to come in and bring recovery in through a participatory process, through an appreciative inquiry process, by asking if we was to develop this center, what do you guys want it to look like? We wanted to find out what was already working in our community. And, it was the church that responded to me first and initially by giving us access to their congregation, people that they were coming. And so I was fortunate that both of those pastors identify as being in recovery. So that was really, really helpful with that aspect of it. But, there were still some things that they could be educated about, and they was, had their own biases. And I understood that. Community Church of God, which is in Macon, Georgia, we do our Celebrate Recovery ministry there, which was mentioned in one of the slides, is a 12-step based Christ-centered ministry. And we use a facility every Monday night. They came to us and they asked us, hey, we're interested in recovery. With church and, you're in the community. How can we merge this? And we sat down together and we decided on Celebrate Recovery. It was brand new. In our community, of course, Celebrate Recovery has been around for quite some time. But what we realized in the research in our area is that it's not prevalent in the African-American churches. And so we have the first Celebrate Recovery in the African-American church here. And I wanted to be a little bit intentional about that. And so Oh, just in awesome ways. I think the church is really essential and to what we're doing in our community. We're in a rural area of Georgia. So what that means is there's a lot of churches. There are a lot of churches where we're at. Churches is as prevalent as the liquor stores we're trying to get people out of, right? So not to be able to try to build some type of connection with the church or some type of a religious institution was just not an option for us. Oh, let me say this. One of the good things I like too with the Celebrate Recovery Ministry is birthing into the people in the congregation are starting to show up to the Celebrate Recovery Ministry. The Celebrate Recovery Ministry mantra talks about hurts, habits, and hangups. And so now they're beginning to realize maybe some of those underlining undertones of judgment or things of that nature. Or like I say, the simplest definition of recovery I advocate for when I'm speaking to any type of religion institution is you will learn to come back from something difficult. And so that puts everybody on the same platform because we all had to come back from something difficult. And even though that manifestation may be different, have variations, the support and the help we needed was the same. So let's start from there. You know, and so I'm excited to see the congregation starting to filter into the Celebrate Recovery Ministry, and they're listening and they're like, oh, and I have some people say, oh, well, maybe I am in recovery. And I'm like, yeah, maybe you are, right? And so we're excited that it's working favorably in our area and with our center.
Awesome. Thank you, Tarusa. You know, you highlight the role, and Jen also highlighted the goal, of course, is inclusivity, right? Reaching out to people in a variety of ways to let them know that RCCs exist, that support exists, and there are, of course, different perspectives and where people are coming from, in creating that space to have dialogue and common learning. Now, in your work, I'm going to start this time with you, Tarusa, and I'm going to go over to you, Michael. Do these barriers ever manifest in your RCC, or what steps do you take that people don't feel like, people who don't share particular faith or who don't feel welcomed by a particular religious group? How does that play out? How do you make sure that those barriers don't then negatively impact folks in your center?
Great question. One is, as I'm pretty sure as many organizations on here has brought into the concept of the multiple pathways to recovery. So when you talk about the center per se, the goal is recovery, right? The pathways are many. And however you come through the door, if that is not your cup of tea, then it is not our responsibility to, it's not a bring you to Christ meeting, right? It's a bring you to whatever you feel that you need to sustain your quality of life. So we keep that first and foremost. Now, on contrary to that, which is sometimes ironic to me when I mentioned we have a lot of churches, sometimes the barriers don't come from somebody coming into the centers. Sometimes it comes from, and I'm gonna use this word loosely, the radicalism from some of the church's perspective, right? Being in a rural area where you have Black and white churches where race and equity and inclusion is still an issue, is because they look at me and say, because I don't have Jesus on the door, right? That we're not doing the work. So that's the barrier there, right? It's more of not individualizing somebody walk through our door, but continuing to, how do we educate our, you know, people who may just so rigid in their, and that's what I call religion. So I check the spiritual box. I didn't check the religion box, okay? To me, they mean two different things. I hope that answers the question.
It does answer it. It also showcases that there's a lot more work to be done in this area, right? We are all still struggling a bit. And honestly, having a scientific symposium with religion is something that happens very rarely. And then, you know, here we're even branching out into all kinds of stakeholders. It's always a difficult conversation to have. At the same time, so many of us checked off how important it is. So it is something worth tackling and something worth talking about and understanding how we can meet common ground and improve ways of moving forward. Michael, how do you do that in your setting?
The best way to serve our community is to know our community, right? So we have to know what's out there and what's available. We also have to know what our community wants and needs. There was a time when we had Native Americans in our center. So we invited White Bison meetings in to tell us about how that looks like, because not everybody believes in the same thing. And you know, this was a perfect opportunity to learn more about another pathway that fits that criteria that individuals might want to practice. At the same token, we had individuals that were from a faith that is very stigmatized if they use any kind of substance. And they were very, very protective, or they didn't want to share. They would just sit and over time, I just approached the individual and, you know, try to make him feel comfortable. And he talked to me and told him that he was from a Islamic faith and that he can't go to his parents and let them know that he has a problem with drug use, because they'll disown him. And that's something we have to learn about too, and understand different religions, different faiths is a community on their own. So we have to learn that, because we don't want to cause harm, right? We don't want to call the parents up and say, hey, I need to have a talk to you about your son. I don't know if you know, but this is, you know, and then the next thing you know, the gentleman is disowned. So I have to educate myself, and our community have to educate ourselves of the practices that is coming through our doors, so we don't offend anybody or cross that line.
I find that really powerful, because earlier you spoke about how you helped educate somebody from their clergy about the success of harm reduction methods, but you're doing the same thing. You're doing as much listening as you're doing teaching, of being sensitive to religions and understanding them, and making sure that you're not crossing boundaries yourself. That's awesome. That's really powerful.
One policy we have in the center is that we don't discuss religion or politics in our center. So we just want to hear about recovery.
Right. And Hazel, if you could stop spotlighting, I want to ask all of you here, so about the experiences you had in your work, if there were barriers, how you managed to bridge them when it came up, and things that have worked for you, any kinds of things you can share in this space about recovery community centers, work with faith-based organizations, and the intersection hereof. And I know, Devin, that you had a lot of awesome points as well. So we'll get to you right after I see Lorraine has her hand up. Lorraine?
Good afternoon, everyone. Lorraine Barton, Step Rocks Recovery Support Center in Roxbury, Massachusetts. And I'm really grateful to be here today, especially for this topic. I'm going to say that, in the beginning of my work as a recovery coach, I really didn't know which way to go in talking about spirituality. I don't feel it was covered thoroughly enough in my training. So what I did is what I had done in other jobs is I didn't say anything, because you're not supposed to push your feelings onto anybody. You shouldn't have spiritual stuff on your wall, crosses, those are all no-nos. But when we begin to talk about a higher power, I had to be honest about who and what my higher power was. And I am very pleased to say that I am here by the grace of my higher power, whom I choose to call Jesus Christ. And that's what I say. That's what I've been saying for the past 30 years. And that's what I believe. Now, that does not mean that I don't, you don't have the right to believe what you believe. But in my work, I had to find a balance of speaking about my higher power. I welcome all conversations from all faiths, and I have a myriad, I am very grateful to say, of recoveries from every walk of life and many, many faiths, and it is truly an inspiring walk for me. I've learned quite a bit. But in the beginning, I treaded very, very lightly. My church has been supportive of the recovery center that I work at. Anything that they can do to offer, they can. I also like to say that I am a deaconess, and I do speak in the pulpit on occasion. And but I don't try to push that. No, I don't try. I do not push my beliefs on my recoveries. My space around me is what you would call spiritual, uplifting. It doesn't say Jesus. I don't have a cross with a person on it. But if you know me, you know that I am a faithful person. I walk my talk. And I think that's the best way that I can say how I let these two things converge is I am who I am. And I just can't change who I am. And if asked, I am honest. That's it. That's all I can say. See the Christ in me or not.
Awesome. I love what you shared, that you had your own struggle of how to do it and where you ended up with how you do both. That's awesome. Thank you, Lorraine.
You're so welcome.
Howard.
So I'm a guest, actually, but I just want to congratulate you, Bettina and John. This is an absolutely fantastic seminar, and I hope you have many more. And I would love to work with you to try to build out this theme because it's so important for the future of public health, if I can say. If I could just make some comments.
Please do.
For those of you who do not know me, I'm a professor at Harvard. I'm on Akosua's doctoral committee. And I see that Professor Rick Segrist, who's the chair of the committee, is also on the call. So this is a topic that's very important to us at Harvard. I'm also the former Massachusetts Commissioner of Public Health. So I've been very involved in these issues in our state for 20 plus years. And whenever I visited treatment sites and community groups, I was always struck how the spirituality themes were very deep and profound. But in academia, we never really address it. So Bettina, the fact that you're having a seminar like this is national and bringing in all of the leaders in the communities is really inspiring. I love hearing from Lynn, Michael, and Tarusa. I'm glad there's such a strong Massachusetts presence. Congratulations to all of you. That's great. We have now at our school a growing initiative on health, spirituality, and religion that I co-direct along with Doctors Tracy Balboni and Tyler Vanderweel. And so I think there's a lot of connection with the discussion here. We also have a relatively new initiative on health and homelessness at our school that I chair. And I think that's another way to bring in connections here. But in short, especially through Akosua's excellent presentation, we're hearing the potential of spirituality being an explicit part of recovery and addressing it more together. And my final comment is, since I've been looking at the literature and writing about this now, by the way, there have been international conferences on how you define spirituality. So there is an international definition. But from memory, the key parts are what has to do with ultimate meaning and purpose and relating to the significant and sacred. Those are the key phrases, okay? So I thought it was very interesting in your very important survey at the beginning, Bettina. I mean, most of us feel some sense of spirituality because we all feel some sense of meaning and purpose or significance in what we do. But it has been pointed out that if you get into the religious part, some people feel passionate about their formal religion. Others don't want to talk about it and feel like it's exclusive. So if you start with the broader spirituality discussion, it brings more people into the conversation, I think. But anyways, these are just some of the many things that Bettina and John, I want to talk to you more about. Thank you for hosting. This has just been great.
Awesome, thank you. And if there's particular opportunities you want to highlight, please send them our way and we'll put them on the website and with the materials for this session so that people can follow up on a particular reading you want to highlight or other opportunities where you want people's attention on. That'd be wonderful. Thank you.
John's put the definition in that's the definition
Yes.
there. That's it. Thank you, John.
Perfect. Michelle, can I? Oh,
Michelle Stewart Coates. I'm with Seek Consultants in New Britain, Connecticut. We have a formalized support partnership with community mental health affiliates coming out of Spotswood AME Zion Church. And we also work with New Life 2 Recovery House in New Britain. We are struggling and looking at equitable partnership with the faith community, whereas people can really see us as being just as important to maintaining sustainable support in the community. We know with the wraparound process that natural supports are so important to sustainable connections in the community. So we're hoping that people can really work to level that appreciation for that mental health support. So that's what we're pushing for here in New Britain, Connecticut.
That's
Thank you.
great. Thank you for sharing that, Michelle. And in the interest of time, I'm going to go to Charles. You'll be our last one up because I know it's almost full to the hour. So Charles.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, listen, I'm Pastor Charles Mickens. I'm a pastor of Lights of Zion Ministries in Chicago, Illinois, CEO of Lights of Zion Training Institute and Vice President of Southland Ministerial Health Network. I want to first of all commend you on this forum. I think it's very important for us to understand and to know how important it is to have recovery support that is available, especially to the faith-based community. There were maybe over 12 years ago, our church, and we found the need to come outside of the walls of worship, to actually go into the community, to be viable in the community, because when we get through worship on Sunday morning, our communities really go through a lot of different changes, and we need to be able to have recovery and support that's available to the community. So we developed the aspect of providing information, inspiration, and resources for people that are in the community. And I don't know how you can think of recovery without involving the faith-based community, because the faith-based community, actually the church is the place to breathe. People have looked at the church for years as being a place where a person can breathe, where we provide support, where we provide inspiration, where we provide everything that's needed for existing in life. So the connection between recovery and faith-based is so essential. And I take my hat off and I applaud this group and applaud you for being able to recognize and know how important this really is. One other thing, and that is over 12 years ago, I had one of my musicians at a church, a bass player, was 18 years old, was shot and killed in our parking lot here in Chicago. And as that took place, I realized that, after the incident had gone by, that I realized that our faith exceeds outside of the walls, and that really pushed us into the place where we are today. We actually provide a institute where we're training young people or people off of the street how to different careers and skills, construction skills. We have a CNA program that we have at the church. So we extend with the programs that we have to move out into the community, because it's so vital. I mean, beside drugs, violence, Chicago is kind of an epicenter for violence and crime. And so we've got to have facilities and places that are available to help these people, as we defined spirituality earlier, to breathe. We need to have a place where our people can actually breathe. I'm a pastor and preacher, so I can talk all day. So once again, thank you for the opportunity to be a part of this council and for what you do. Thank you. God bless. Thank you.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think that the amazing part is there's so much to build on here, right? So much desire to work together, so much commonality in the goals that we all want to achieve. And I love that there was so many of us that were listening to each other and were thinking about some of the issues that were raised and want to carry that forward. I really appreciate you all for sharing your wisdom, your perspective, and being part of this journey. And with that, I think I will close it and wish you all a wonderful weekend. Hope to see you next time for our seminar on wellness. And thank you all for making this journey with us.